Hey everyone, I'm Jonathan Crow, Director of Content and Community at Ninja RMM. Welcome back, everybody. This is an MSP Live Chat brought to you by Ninja, and this is the first live chat in about a month or so. We took a break with our Adept IT virtual summit that we had last month. Definitely missed you guys, and it's awesome to see folks back. Hey JP, what's going on, man? We've got some new faces here. So as always, first, let's start out with Tom. Tom Watson is our channel chief advisor here at Ninja. Tom, very good to see you back in action here.
Yeah, great. Glad to be back.
Yeah, and we've got our very special guest, Ayan Adam. She is founder of CX Atelier. Did I get that close?
Perfect.
All right, awesome. And Ayan is she focuses on MSP marketing. She helps out MSPs with their marketing and growing their digital presence. We're going to be talking all about Google My Business, organic local search results, all these good things to help you grow your presence and get you some more leads. And Ayan has so many awesome free resources to share. We're going to get to those in just a bit. And then last but not least, I wanted to introduce Dom Scafidi, who is our new content manager here at Ninja. Dom, this is your first month, your first live chat on the air. Welcome to you, sir. And everyone's going to get to know your face because you're going to be joining these regularly.
Awesome. Super excited to be here. Hey, everybody in the audience.
Yeah, and so good to see that this is, as usual, a global crowd. Stefano from Italy. Ayan, of course, from Montreal. We typically have more Canadians in the crowd. Let's see if you get some more of those fellow countrymen. But as we kick this off, I wanted, as usual, point out that we're sharing a resources doc. And for those of you who have not joined a MSP Live Chat from Ninja before, we keep these things informal. It's a lot like Zoom here in Crowdcast. Jump in the chat. You'll see folks are already responding. Definitely use that as a chance to talk to us, to also talk amongst yourselves. Really use this time. We're talking about this topic together. And so, of course, we've got Ayan here, and she's an amazing resource. Please take advantage of having her here, ask her questions. Also share what you're doing, too. If you guys are seeing good results with what you guys are trying, we want to hear about it. So definitely use the chat to do that. There's also, if there's a very burning question that you really want us to answer, make sure that you use the Ask a Question feature, which is down at the bottom row there. That way it won't get lost in chat. We can make sure this is something we really need to answer. Also down below, one more thing to call out, there's a polls section. So I think we have 4 polls here. Go ahead, jump in those to fill those out when you get a chance. And that'll be great. That'll give us some talking points and help us kind of level set a little bit. And then finally, last but not least, yes, this session is being recorded. In fact, about 1 or 2 minutes after the session is complete, you can just refresh this page and the recording will be available. That way, whenever you go to that link that was in your email, you'll go back and be able to see the recording. We'll also follow up with an email that'll have links to all the resources, links to the recording, all of that good stuff. So I'm going to bring up that Google Doc on the page. But while I'm doing that, Dom, I'm going to hand it over to you because before we get into the subject, maybe just give folks a little bit of background from you, because the MSP world is not new to you. You've helped some folks out. Why don't you say a little something about yourself?
Totally. And before I say that, want to say we have polls. I'm curious, who has their Google My Business set up? Who doesn't? Would love to see you answer that down there in the polls section. So yeah, I've worked with MSPs in the past, and Google My Business is a tool that I've been preaching for like an evangelist for a long time. It's a free tool. It's something that I think all MSPs should have and leverage. And then, on a prep call, we meet Ayan, and she's been preaching it as well. So I'm happy to see that we have somebody else doing the same kind of thing. Curious to see in this audience here, who has their page set up? And if so, who has seen success with it? The Google My Business tool is something that is going to help you rank better on Google. It's going to help you increase your reviews and your exposure. So Ayan, could you tell us a little bit about the principles of Google My Business, and just tell us a little bit about, what it is and why you think MSPs and VARs and IT people should have it?
Yeah, sure. Well, thank you. First of all, it's a real pleasure being here. Thank you guys for inviting me. And I'm super excited about hearing about what people are actually doing right now in terms of just, local search. Are they actually leaning on having people find them locally? Like, are people actually coming to them through internet? Like, are they actually getting leads from their website? Are they getting leads from what we call Google My Business? I want to explain what Google My Business is, because people are like, what is Google My Business? I know about Google. So what is that thing? So one easy way to understand it is when you're doing a search, for example, for a restaurant near you, you're generally going to see what we call the local map pack. So Google My Business is actually a product of Google that is really linked with their Google Maps. So when you're looking for a restaurant, you're going to find the restaurants that are closest to you. And then what you can see is you can see their reviews, you can see photos of the restaurants. It's actually it's a product for Google that's meant to promote local businesses. So that's generally how you find things around you. And it's generally geared towards, coffee shops, restaurants, like I said, or anything shopping around you. And that's how people use it. And you use it every day. You just don't necessarily know what that is. So how do people end up there? How do they get found on Google My Business? So I'll just show you, I'll just share my screen and kind of walk you through what it looks like. So let me just share my screen here.
While you're doing that, I'll say, Google My Business is a super good small business tool. And I kind of was introduced to it in the food service side of things. It's used for catering, it's used for restaurants, as Ayan was saying, and it's good to see it kind of sliding over into the IT and MSP space.
Yeah, I'm going to share a link to a blog post that we did too a while back that kind of gets into the basics here and overview. And there's a couple of stats I'll call out while Ayan's sharing her screen too. Why is it important? Half of consumers visit a business the same day they find it via local search. Over 80% of consumers read online reviews before trying out a local business. And a product with just 5 reviews is 270% more likely to be purchased than one with 0. So this is kind of consumer-based stuff, but it's just an indication of basically how powerful and how important it is to have your own search listings showing up there. And so it looks like we have some trouble there with Ayan. Ayan, I would recommend maybe refreshing, and then we'll bring you back on. And then we'll get the...
Sorry guys, I'm back.
Okay, great. Let's see. Let's make you... here, I'm going to close out your video. If you could actually just refresh the browser, that would be great. And then we'll bring you back on. But while Ayan is doing that, let me share my screen again and share... oh, there you are. You're back.
Yay, I'm here. Can you guys see me?
We can.
Yes, we can see you. All right.
Sorry about that. I was actually sharing my screen and I was just talking to myself and nobody could hear me. Sorry about that. Not sure what happened.
Yeah, it's okay. Let's try it one more time.
I'll try again.
Try it one more time.
Right. So I'm just going to share if I, for example, I believe everybody can see my screen now.
There we go. Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome. Amazing. So here, if I'm looking, for example, for IT support in New Jersey, this is what we call the local map pack. So you're going to see here some businesses that are listed. And this here is what we call the local map pack. So the 3 first listings generally get most of the clicks. It's rare that people go and click here in terms of like seeing more. But if you look at how do you end up here listed in the 3 first listings of Google, on the first page of Google for the local map pack that leads back to Google Maps. So this is what we call Google My Business. So if I, for example, click on this business, Integrated Computer Services, Inc., this is what we call Google My Business. So you probably saw this generally on your mobile phone, and you generally see this type of results for local businesses that you go to, or like places where you want to shop, or restaurants or places like that. And this is a tool I don't see MSPs really understand or take advantage of. And this is why, like Dom said, I'm trying to evangelize people, because IT companies are local service providers, and Google My Business is really a product that can work for you. Because if somebody is in the vicinity of your business and they're looking for services, computer services, they can actually find you through Google My Business. And Google My Business is not something that happens automatically. So people know, generally, you're going to have a Google listing, even if because somebody else can create it for you. And oftentimes, Google themselves do create listings for companies without them knowing about it. So what they do is that they go and index, local directories or information from your website, and they're going to go and potentially create a business listing for you. So the difference between a business listing and Google My Business is if you claim this business, like for example here, own this business, if somebody actually went on and claimed this business, they can manage what we call their Google My Business. And that's a difference between business listing, which is something that potentially can happen automatically, and you owning your own listing. And then what happens is when you own your own listing, you can go around and optimize it so that it works better for you. So generally, this doesn't happen by accident. Companies that end up on the local map pack in the first results are people that generally have claimed their Google My Business and have optimized it. So I want to talk to you a little bit about what is optimization for Google My Business. What should you look at, right? But just from a consumer perspective, you guys can definitely see the difference between these different listings. If you look at the first one, you can see here that they have 81 reviews, and all of them have 5-star reviews, right? You can see this one only has 3, this one has 10. And those things are signals that Google will use to rank your listing higher. It's also signals that users would use to select you over anybody else in your local area. So it's really important to, first of all, so I'm going to go through what are the ranking signals that Google uses. And without going too much into detail, it's extremely important that you are, first of all, claiming your Google My Business so that you are linking it to your own business. You're putting your website information. So you can see here, the information for the website is here. This is not something that happens automatically. So if you haven't claimed your Google My Business and did not put the information there, it's not going to be there. And also you're opening it for somebody else to claim it. So it's really important. This is your asset. This is prime real estate for you, prime real estate on your, on the biggest search engine in the world. So it's extremely important for you that you claim this marketing asset and you take advantage of it.
Yeah,
and then,
sorry,
go ahead.
Sorry, I just interrupt there for a second. Going back to the search results, as you see, like the first ones we see are ads, people paying often obscene amounts of money to get to where they're at. And then we have what's in the map pack here. So you're actually showing at the top of organic search results. I mean, it's a really powerful place to be.
Is there anybody in the audience that wants to, chime in the chat, and we can look at your MSP or your business if you'd like. We'd, love to do that. It'd be more fun, I think, if we're looking at a real business, maybe somebody that doesn't even know if they've claimed their profile.
Well, I see a couple of people too who responded to the poll of have you ever ranked in the pack? And we've got 2 people at least that have voted. A lot of people who aren't sure are saying no, but we do have a couple of people who seem like they're doing pretty well. Oh, and we've also got Colleen as a brave volunteer for Ayan to check out her site, I Evolve. Ayan, do you want to do that, or do you want to continue
Sure.
kind of covering some basics first? What would you like to do?
Oh, well, I can go right into it. Let me just get the information. Where can I get that?
Let's see. So it looks like I'm going to grab her site. It's i-evolve, evolve.com. And so
also, we have Robert here in the chat too, BizTech Ocala. Sorry if I didn't say that right. Loves Google My Business and wishes he was able to move up fast, he says. Thanks for that, Robert.
Awesome.
And Brian Cook, Unified Technology Solutions.
All right, so I'm just going to go right in and research your business. Let's try to pull up your, okay, so it's, is it a VoIP company? I'm just looking at your profile here.
Which one are you looking at, Ayan?
All right, let me just make sure I have the right one here. Is it I Evolve Technology VoIP Phones? Yes, looks like it, no?
Yep, VoIP and hosted IT.
Cool.
Awesome.
Thanks, Colleen.
In Buffalo, right?
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, let's look at it. So I'm going to do two things. I'm going to look at other businesses that are showing as well in Buffalo. So are you generally found for IT support or VoIP? What kind of keywords do people generally find you for, and what are the main services that you have? This is a question for
Colleen. And Colleen, actually, if you're up for it, we could invite you on the screen too, so you can don't have to just be typing these things in. If you're not up for it, that's fine too.
Volunteered and is like, oh no.
I know, right?
Confidence, security, VoIP. Okay. Okay, great.
I'm gonna go ahead. I will invite you on, Colleen, and if you want to come on, that's cool. Again, no serious pressure. Although I did see Sean in the chat, I think he would help us pressure you. Yeah, and Robert's asking Ayan if he's kind of curious what you're looking up. Do you want to share your screen, or would you like to share it at a later point?
So I can totally share. So right now, I'm trying to find keywords that are relevant that they're being found for. So I'm just going to share my screen now, so you can follow with me.
Cool. Thank you for doing that. You know, one thing while you're doing that too that I'll bring up is, it goes a little bit off topic, but in addition to helping small businesses do the right thing and get listed when they earn that right, Ayan also has made it her mission to take down spammers, and we can talk about this a little bit later. But going into some searches for areas and seeing there's lots of shady ways to try to game the system and get on things too. And Ayan actually had an amazing video, some of you may have seen it, that promoted this event where she goes in and is reporting things and calling people out for doing some kind of shady things too. But let's focus on the right way to do things and the good things. So Ayan, we see that you've... Hey, Colleen.
Hi, guys. I got to apologize. I was not camera face ready, but I'm grateful for the opportunity to jump on.
Thank you so much for being open to it, being brave. I like it.
It's awesome to have you here. So I'm just going to go a little bit over your listing. If everybody can see my screen here. So first of all, it looks like you did claim your Google My Business, and you have your website information here.
Just to give you a little bit of background, we, within the last month, have just touched the surface of maybe some of the things that we thought we might have to do to optimize this. So we're really green at this, right? We claimed it, we posted some stuff, and now we're kind of hoping for guidance.
Hey, actually, so in Ayan, if this is a big tangent, feel free to kind of circle back around to it. But we've mentioned claiming your listing a couple of times now. How do folks do that? Is it a quick and easy thing, or not so much?
So this is actually, it's super easy. This is actually in my ultimate guide for Google My Business. And it's in the resources, right, that you put in there. And it's really a checklist, just go through them. And then I'll show you, it shows you exactly with screenshots, where to go, how to claim it, how to go from unclaimed to claim, how to make sure that somebody else hasn't claimed your Google My Business. And then how to optimize it, really category, I'd say it's not actually category, because categories are an aspect of Google My Business, but really section by section. So I can also share that. You know what? We can just, I'd like to touch a little bit upon this listing here. So I said, first of all, great, it's claimed. And then here you can see, so we have the website. There's one thing I always like having here, especially for MSPs, is a get a quote button, which is, and I'll show you, you'll see in my Google My Business guide how to activate it. It's really because you're activating messaging through Google, and people can directly ask for a quote from Google. So this is an interesting thing where I don't really have an answer that's cut and dry, because some people, so what you have to know about Google is that they're trying to keep you on Google, right? So it's a bit weird because you're competing with Google for digital real estate, because they're trying to get all the answers to people within Google without them having to go on your website. But what I want to make sure of is, and what really matters to you is the leads, right? So
Yeah.
I know it's something else that you have to manage, but just give the option to people to connect with you directly from here. And it's actually super well optimized for mobile. And what you can do is that if you have that button, get a quote button, I'll show you what it looks like. I don't know if this, oh, sorry, no, that's a totally different business. But if you have like get a quote, that's going to be directly, it's a way to get directly in contact with people. So I'm just going to go over some of the stuff that I see here. So question and answers, this is super important, especially for an MSP, because some people that you're going to be, some prospects that you're going to have are not necessarily going to have all the information they need to take a decision. They might want to know your open hours. So here I can see that you have your opening hours, but for example, they want to know if you have 24/7 support.
Right.
These are a good place for you to answer the questions that generally come up with your client or prospect, or somebody that wants to make a decision right from here. So you want to be able to give them as much information as they would want for them to decide to call you instead of somebody else, right? So here, this is open. Question and answers is something that can be owner-generated. So you go ahead and you create questions and you create the answers to the questions, but people can also do it for you. So you can have user-generated questions where people are putting in their own questions, and you have to moderate that. Just make sure that you don't have any spam in there. So that's one point. And then, great, you have pictures. That's awesome. I'll just click on the pictures. This is something I find that is super important, is exactly this, to show the actual business, to show your office. And it's important to also have photos of the team. And generally, I advise people against stock photos. It's super important that people see the people that are running the business, and this is a great photo. It's super important to have as many photos as you have is actually great, especially high quality photos. One little trick I always use, and that actually is actually great, that really works, is to geotag all your photos. So in the Google Guide, you'll see exactly how to do it. It's a free tool, and all your photos are going to be geotagged, which means that they're going to be ranking better. They're going to be actually found on Google much easier. So that's really step by step. Yeah. Sorry, do you have more questions, Colleen?
Oh my goodness. So essentially, when you're talking about the Q&A section, this is something that's completely independent of what's already on our website. We want to kind of replicate that within Google, is what you're saying.
So it's its own thing, right? It really has, like I said, the goal for Google is to keep people on Google.
Yeah.
So you have to work with them so that they give you prime visibility. And also because if, let's say somebody else, like a competitor, is answering those questions, and you don't want to create doubt in the mind of a potential prospect, if you already offer something they're looking for, let's say, 24/7 support or services like cybersecurity or things like that, you just want to make sure that all that information is available to them so that they can make a decision to call you.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And I actually, you know what I want to do? I want to show the back end of a Google My Business listing, so I can walk you through kind of the things that you could do yourself later on to optimize your listing.
Okay.
All right. So I'm just going to share my screen again. All right.
And Colleen, thank you so much for coming on for that. I'm gonna let you go back to the audience now if you don't mind.
Okay.
But thank you so much for being brave and being yeah. Okay, well, let's see.
Can you guys see my screen?
We can.
Yes.
Awesome. So this is for Colleen or anybody else that wants to optimize their Google My Business. This is the back end of a Google My Business the actual platform. So you can see here in the homepage, you have kind of you have a recap of all the different things that are going on right now in your Google. Here, posts. These are super important. You can create posts on Google My Business, and posts are going to be, you can see here how many people have viewed them. You can see if people clicked on them or not. And these are kind of updates that you give about your business. And the thing with posts is that they're live for like 7 days, so something like a week. So from time to time, you have to make sure that your posting. It's actually a social platform, Google. They had some, social products that did fail in the past.
Google Plus.
This one, exactly.
R.I.P.
Flip.
Not to name anyone, but yeah. But this one is actually going strong, and this participates in the ranking signals of Google, where they are seeing that you're active, your listing is active, things are happening on it, and that actually activity is a good metric for them to understand if this listing is worth ranking or not, right? So I'd say go and post some Google posts. I share in the document in my guide how to create a post, and then you know what? Google gives you a lot of pre-made kind of templates for you to create posts that are pretty cute if you want to use them to sometimes promote your reviews, or if you want to share some information. So take advantage of them, because all those they're actually really good at supporting local businesses. And there are so many resources that you can tap into. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, John.
Go ahead, Dom. No, after you.
I was gonna say, if I could chime in here for a second on the posts. The great thing about the post section here on Google My Business, unlike a LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you don't have to build a following. The traffic is organically coming to see these posts, and it's free. So post there if you haven't been doing that, because the traffic is coming, and if you're not talking to the traffic, they're not going to see anything.
And actually, okay, so to this point, and Tom, feel free to jump in too as a former owner. I'm going to channel some folks here. I mean, okay, great, another place to post. Awesome. Now I have like 30 places to post every day. How does this, do you have any advice there for workflows, or if I'm posting on Facebook anyway, or if I'm an owner who's trying to do more on LinkedIn or wherever it is, can I do like kind of two birds with one stone here, or are these types of posts very different? Should I be thinking about them differently?
So I have good news and bad news. The bad news is that it's different. Every platform is different. It has its own specs in terms of like what you can post, and you have to reformat your content, you have to reformat your pictures or graphics or anything. But the good news is you don't have to do it that often. Like you said, it's not about a following, it's really about visibility for things that you want to promote. So I'd say sometimes something I can actually give you that resource as well. I've seen some clients create posts and automatically have them roll over, because every 7 days they disappear, but we have this tool where you can potentially repost and it does it for you. It's good and bad, because it's not new content, so Google is going to know about it, but it's also a way to have something going on if that was the way you wanted to go about it. I'd say that there are things that you should focus on that are more important than posts and that are going to be super effective for you if you have very little time. But definitely it's going to make a difference if somebody else will say your competitor is extremely active and you're not, and they're relevant. But if you, for example, you have little time and your competition is not as if you don't have a super harsh competition in your local area, I'd say concentrate on other things. First of all, make sure it's optimized, it's claimed, you have all the correct information in there. One thing that is extremely important I didn't talk about, and I want to talk about, is what we call NAP, which is your name, address, and phone number. That has to be super consistent throughout all your digital assets. So that is your website, your Google, or any other directories. Let's say your Facebook, your LinkedIn. Your company information needs to be extremely, consistent, because that's what Google is going to define as. Consistency is extremely important, especially when you're listing your address, because the goal of Google is to drive people to places that actually exist. So they are going to down rank you on Google Maps if your address is showing up as something different on, all these other places, because they actually cross-reference the information. So this is what we call local citations as well. And we have, there are ways for you to automate that and to make sure that your listing information is distributed. We have local aggregators that we use to distribute your information. So it's going to be, every country has specific directories. They have local directories, but it's going to really help you rank if you are consistent. Because like I said, the goal of Google Maps is to drive people to places that actually exist. And sometimes and you know what, the bots are not going to make a difference between, so if you write for drive, if you say DR and the next, you know, and in some other places it's like DRIVE, it's not good. It has to be written exactly the same way, absolutely everywhere.
Okay, man, this is okay. So this you're covering a ton here, and this is awesome. And I want to call out just one more time for folks. So Ayan has put together this amazing guide, and what I really love about this is this is ungated, guys. Like, you don't need to fill in any information. It's all here on Ayan's site. And this is just FYI, if this is information is coming really fast at you and you want to revisit. Obviously, you can rewatch the recording, but you can go to this guide, and there's everything that Ayan's talking about is in here too. So I just wanted to call that out. And then a couple of questions, Ayan. So we have one interesting question here, and this may apply to other folks as well. This is from Tim. Tim, thanks for putting this in. He says, I operate my MSP out of my home office for over 25 years now. Don't plan on getting a storefront. So what do? I don't have a physical business address that isn't my home. Any advice there?
Don't do it. Don't do Google My Business. So this is the caveat of Google My Business is it's really for businesses that have a physical address. And one of the things that you have to have is an actual sign outside that even what's it called, a co-working area space doesn't work, except if you have signage outside of the building that identifies your business. And again, it's related to Google Maps. And they're actually, so this is where I talk about spamming a little bit, because this is against Google guidelines. And what they're going to do is that if your business doesn't have an actual physical location, and you create a Google My Business and you give people an address and you don't have proper signage, it can actually go against Google guidelines. There's a way around it, which is called service area businesses. So if you're a service area business, what you can do is that don't put in an address, but define the areas that you serve. And that's a way for you to still create a Google My Business, collect reviews, have visibility, but you're not going to be linked to a specific address, because whenever you give an address, a physical address, Google Maps needs to, it has to be super congruent, and they have, pretty draconian guidelines there. So yeah, stick to service area.
Thank you for that. And maybe just kind of related, this we can take a little side road here into some of the kind of shady practices you're listing, because you're talking about addresses, and I'll just bring up this post that you shared, and I'll put a link to it here too. But this is awesome. So this is a blog post that you just sent out, and you're calling out how, people have taken notice of this, and a very common search is IT services, whatever area that someone's in, right? And so some ways that people try to game this system, some good stats about the importance of Google right there, is basically working things into their business title, using the wrong addresses, doing anything they can to kind of show up in this very coveted space, right, in the map pack. Do you want to talk about this a little bit?
Yeah, so in the example you were showing before, so what you have to understand is the goal of Google is to promote local businesses and to give them visibility. And the better signals you get for your actual business, if people like your business, if they're giving you reviews, if you are an actual local business, Google wants to promote you, right, for free. But now if you're not a local business, like some of these guys, like if you scroll down a little bit, I had, and this is something I see all the time, and it's just disheartening, because it's illegal. It's not illegal. It's against Google guidelines, but it's really unfair competition. Some of these guys, like example, these ones, they're not even located in the area they're vying for. They're located in Texas and Pennsylvania, but they're getting leads in New York with Google My Business. And the challenge is there are actual IT businesses in New York that could support those clients. And, let's see how I just want to make sure that the odds are fair. And then what happens is if people like that other business better throughout reviews and things like that, they potentially deserve to have visibility, but not local visibility. And Google My Business is a local tool. There are other ways I actually advise these type of companies to get visibility, and that is through organic search. And it's not the map pack, but it's just the actual what we all know, Google rankings on, and that's a bit different in terms of how to rank organically. Is a different discussion than how to rank on Google My Business. So yeah, if you're doing what we call keyword stuffing, so that is against Google guidelines. Keyword stuffing is putting a keyword in your business name. So for example, if your business name is, I don't know, One Tech IT or something like that, and then you put One Tech IT and you put consulting, IT consulting or cybersecurity and things like that within your business name, that is against Google guidelines. And why is it important? Is because the business name is one of the most important ranking factor that Google uses to define if the query, somebody's looking for IT services, if your business name and keywords are related, they're going to decide to show that business to somebody that's looking for it. So one way to really, really not game the system, but really take advantage of the tools that are already at your disposal and to do it in a way that's compliant is to leverage your categories. So I advise people to leverage the tools that already exist without going into spam tactics. Like, for example, having the right business categories. So leverage all of the ones that make sense to your business. So if you do cybersecurity, put security in there. Put, computer support or business phones. All the things that you do, put in the categories, put the right attributes, really go in there and set it up correctly. And if you do that and the other people are not doing spam tactics, you have a really good chance of ranking.
I mean, you also, for those people doing the spam tactics, I mean, this is part of that promo video that you sent them of actually kind of reporting on Google. Although JP's pointing out for those in those cases, Google may take a while to take action. Also in cases of mistakes, which I believe Bradley is mentioning here, where moving in office and Google taking a while to kind of catch up with them. Any other advice in that way of trying to get Google to do something? Is there any levers you can pull?
Honestly, so I also in that document, I tell you exactly how are the ways you can redress that. And there are different ways. You have a redressal form, you have, you can suggest an edit directly within the Google My Business. There are ways for you to do it while not showing your actual, Gmail identity, which is how you attract. And so for people not to know so there are different ways. Like I have absolutely no problem myself going after these businesses because that's what I believe in. But if you're potentially a competitor and you don't want them to know it's coming from you, there are ways to do that as well. So I also detail that in the article. So yes, you are relying on Google to be, to be reactive and kind of go in there and investigate. And sometimes they don't get back to you as fast as you would want. Sometimes they get back to you very fast. It really depends. But if it's coming from, because they're also going to be tracking, if it's coming from different people, if it's actually, if your claim is a good claim, it's going to be addressed eventually. And spam tactics are really frowned upon. And, I don't think it's worth it in terms of the consequences eventually, because I really think about it as your digital real estate. There are spam companies out there that don't really care because they have these burner domains that they use. But if you're a real business and this is your livelihood and you're investing in the future, you want to do it right.
Absolutely. One other thing to just clarify and confirm, because you're calling out categories and the importance of them. And Robert was asking, how many can you select? Brian's suggesting you can select 3, but is that true, or are there other categories you can select?
So you can only have 1 primary categories, and you can have up to 9 secondary categories. I generally advise people to stick to 4, to not dilute your, main categories, right? So because categories are one of the ways that Google is going to match you with a query. So if you do everything, absolutely everything, and a lot of things that are not related, they might want, so what's going to happen is that they might prioritize somebody that does that more in depth, or they're only listing, a few categories, 3 of them, instead of somebody that's doing you're diluting your reach. So I'd say stick to 4, but you can do up to 9. That's what 9 secondary categories. That's what Google gives you access to.
All right. So it sounds like we've got claiming your business, first of all, making sure that all the information is correct, that you're filling in basically everything you can, that you're picking your categories, that you're taking advantage of the question and answer, that you're adding photos. Is there anything that we're missing there? Anything else that you wanted to call out for free ways for people to be able to improve their listing?
Yes, products. This is a big one. I want to talk about this. And you know what? I'm going to share my screen.
Okay,
let me show you. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
There you go. You should be able to now.
Awesome. All right. So just want to show you what products look like. And guys, this is super important, especially with mobile. So see here, we have products. So these are actually, we created products from the services that this business has, like Microsoft 365 for business, cloud phone systems, networking solutions, IT support, IT security for business. This is great for you to be found online. And this gives you actually great visibility when you're looking at what we call the knowledge graph, which is when your listing shows up. Products have great real estate. They catch the eye. This is one we did for this business with their brand colors. And it's just a great way for people to know exactly what you do. And you can even give them the ability to fulfill orders right in there if it's something you feel like doing. You can either, call for them to, either go on a specific page on your website to get more information about the service. They can call you. They can get a quote directly in there. They can even buy from you. If it's, for example, a network assessment or time, let's say like you're selling an hour support, you can do it from here. And this is almost like e-commerce, and this actually gets great visibility within Google. I can't show you because I'm not on my phone, but if you go and you look at, for example, when you're looking for a couch, you see a lot of pictures of couches, and you can actually, like, the shopping section, this is where it's going to show.
Wow. Okay, so that's interesting. So the example that you had there was basically, if you were to go to that MSP's website, you'd kind of see the core listings that we're used to seeing in a lot of places here. You've got cybersecurity, managed services, maybe some other solutions that they're calling out. And what they're doing there is that they're actually creating them as products in their Google My Business account.
Yes, we did it for them. So we created them as products, and we branded it, and we decided to focus on their core services and brand them as products. And we're right now, so what we can do is to have self-service. And I think you should have some sort of interactivity directly within Google for these products. So either a chance for them to get a quote, or they can either call you from there, they can give them more information related to your website. You have different calls to action that you can do directly from products. But e-commerce for MSPs is also another big thing I always advocate. But this is a great way for you to do it easily, and it's supported by Google.
This answers, Brian, your question here. Would you recommend posting products instead of services? But what you're saying is actually you're taking their services and positioning them as a product in terms of how Google's thinking about them.
Okay, so within Google My Business, you have both. You absolutely need to do both. You have to do services. And sorry, it actually gets it's not complicated, but it's just like it's part of the process of optimizing it. Yes, you have to create your services, and you have to create products. It's just that they are different sections of Google My Business that get different types of visibility. So services are going to be really helpful in terms of defining what is it that you do, and to be found for their services when somebody is doing a local query. But product is more in the idea of shopping, and so the thing is, we're talking about MSP, so that's why it kind of seems redundant, but you think about another type of business. They can have services and they can have products. Like, for example, somebody that's a local business that's selling, haircuts, but they're also selling, shampoos. So just to give you, so this Google My Business is pretty much, it's used for local businesses. So it's just that for an IT business, but it's kind of redundant. I've seen people do it with to sell laptops. And I've seen them list laptops in there, so you can put the price, you can put the specs, you can put all the information. People can buy directly from you in there.
And maybe another idea could be like if you've got things like standalone assessments or other project work that you're calling out, maybe that could be one example. Okay. Okay, great. And then I got a couple of different directions, but Dom, maybe you got some ideas too. I think I saw you.
Just want to, I'd want to mention real quick. I know Bradley was talking about moving locations, and I don't know if this is a US only thing, so correct me if I'm wrong, Ayan, but you can actually request Google to send you a physical postcard with a code that you can punch in, and that's going to immediately move your location from your previous one to the new one. So if you want to go through snail mail and do it that way, you can. But I'd love to talk about reviews and the techniques like that. But
Absolutely.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, so I just wanted to touch upon the point you said before. Actually, that process is the only process through which you can claim your Google My Business. You have to show a physical location. So if you wanted to claim your Google My Business and you haven't claimed your Google My Business before, you have to, go in there, ask Google, and they send you a postcard that you have to receive to your address. And then you have to enter that code within your Google My Business, and that's how you claim it. So yes, if you're changing locations, they're going to do the same process for you.
So keep an eye on the snail mail when you change your locations.
Yes.
But yeah, I think talking a little bit about reviews and some of the techniques, I think when I've approached people on the Google My Business side of things, there's a certain hesitancy of, MSPs asking their clients for reviews. They already pay you, for the services. There's a hesitancy of how do I properly ask somebody for a review and where do we go with them? So maybe if we could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, honestly, the payoff is so great that you have to do it, even if it's sometimes a bit tough to go about it. One way I always advise my clients to go about it, and we kind of create a process for it. And so I'm just going to go into detail with it. You have a way to do what we call short business name with Google. So this is a service of Google where you can actually go within your Google My Business, create a link, a URL that's going to drive people directly to your Google My Business so that they can give you a review. So how we did it before is that I would go and create a signature banner for my clients with a link where they can actually ask for a review. And then what happens is you click on it, it takes you directly to the Google My Business, and it asks you, hey, can you give a review for this business? And that was kind of a way for them to do it more easily. That you can also bake it into your customer support system as well. In your process, whenever you're closing a ticket, it's also something you can send out with that specific link where people can give you reviews. So that's short business name. It's called Short Business Name by Google, and you have to just go in your Google My Business and just create it, and it's going to give you a URL, and that URL is going to be is going to drive people directly to reviews. So that's one way I used to go about it. So the bad news is Google took it away something like 2 weeks ago, and what's happening now is everybody that had it before, well, they're fine. They can still do it that way, but it's not available anymore for new listings. So that's the challenge.
I see a question here again from Robert. Do reviews help you rank?
Yes.
We can talk about that. And yeah, I think the answer is yes.
Yes, big time. If you go back to some of the resources there, you can see that you have kind of the ranking factors, and reviews are considered user-generated content. And that is something that Google really takes seriously, and that really helps. Yes, reviews are extremely important.
It is kind of confusing, when you do. I'm sure everyone could do this right now. Find their location and say whatever local area you're in, and then Google that plus IT services and see what comes up. And I know if I saw competitors show up that have 2 reviews versus, it is kind of confusing to see, because you'll see some people with 3 reviews ranking ahead of people who have 40, and the difference being not that much. And so it is kind of like a mystery, as with all things Google, right? And their algorithm, there's definitely a mystery there.
Yes and no.
Okay. Yeah.
No, yes and no. So yes, we don't have access to knowing exactly what are the ranking factors of Google. So we rely on their patents. I generally rely myself on a lot of, literature and, industry information. It's pretty straightforward because they don't really want to make it a mystery in the sense where they want to tell local business what is it that they have to do. Mm-hmm. So first of all, you have to claim your Google My Business. So that's step one. That's going to make a big difference between somebody that hasn't really claimed it. They're going to know that you're an actual business. Reviews are super important, but then there are other ranking factors. And again, we talked about it, local citations. They want to know that you're a relevant business in your area. And how they know that is because other people are referencing you. So I'll show you, there's a graph where you see really like what are the ranking factors for local, should be found locally. If you want to share it, actually, Jonathan, it's in the article, the spam fighting article.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll pull it up right now. All right, here we go.
Yes, there you go. So, yeah, so Google My Business, having it optimized is number one. That's the most important one. That's where people go and spam so that they can get better odds. And then you have link signals, like we said, it's local citations. It's, it could be other review websites. It could also be, Apple Maps, or like all the different places where your business should be listed. And we have ways of distributing your listing to all these different places. You have aggregators out there that can do it for you as well. That's also another resource we could potentially give you guys, where you can distribute your listing. And if it's coherent in all these different places, they're going to know, okay, this business really exists. This is where they're located. It says it in all these different other websites. And then they're going to look at review signals. That's number three, super important. On-page signals are your website. So this is a point I wanted to touch upon a little bit. I don't know, Jonathan, if it's something you want to do now.
Yeah, let's go for it.
A little bit. Yeah, let's just talk about it super high level. Your website is important too, right? To rank locally, even on the Google Map Pack, because if, for example, on your website, you have what we call local service pages, which are pages that have your really like your address. It has your phone number. It's a local phone number, and it has what is it that you do. So we have really a structure to create those local pages. That is going to really help you rank as well, because Google is going to use information that they get on your website to define if what you do makes sense. So how do you do that is we leverage what we call schema. So it's just a way of structuring the information on your website so that the bots really understand it and that they define as being locally relevant. So this is super easy. You can go on schema.org and kind of go and create those, that schema structure for your current on your current website, the services pages that you have. Let's say, for example, IT support, you have a specific web page for your services, and you go and you implement some schema in there. So a local schema is going to inform Google that this is a relevant page for that specific area. So there's geotagging that goes in there. There's your information for your address that's in there. Everything is kind of like, Google's using all of these different signals to define if it makes sense to rank you for that specific location.
Well, thank you. And with this, Ayan, so for anyone who wants to dig into that further, obviously they should talk with you. And then in addition to that, I mean, is this something else that the guide covers, or something else that's on your site? Okay.
Yeah, I really try to keep things very organized so that people understand them easily. It's really the Google My Business guide is really about Google My Business, and we're going to be creating another guide for very soon for local, pages, so landing pages, services pages. What is it that you need to do? How do you need to structure them so that you're found locally? That's
awesome. Well, we've got 5 minutes left, and we want to do some last minute things here. We can't answer another question. If anyone has any last questions, last call for those. But I do want to bring up Ayan's site again. And so CX Atelier. Pretty good?
Yes.
Okay, all right. And she's got a section here called The Loot, which I love the name for it. But this is the section of her site that contains all these good things, the Google My Business guide that we've been talking about a lot. And then in addition to that, good for Google Ads, podcast listings. I know she's also got some great guides that she shared with us in terms of doing things like building out your personas and working on your value prop. There's a ton of great stuff on her site. And so definitely check it out. And Ayan, I'm so glad that you were able to join us. This is a lot to cover here, and you did an amazing job at it. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much. And I actually was telling you, if anybody was interested in kind of having a read of their Google My Business, just kind of a, hey, this is what you need to concentrate on, don't hesitate to reach out to me. My email is Ayan at CX Atelier. So Atelier is a French name. I know it's super complicated for some people, but it's actually, so it's ATELIER.com, CXAtelier.com. And yeah, just shoot me an email.
That's awesome. LinkedIn. So we will put your email address in that resources doc as well. That's going to be circulated. So yeah, definitely advocate for people to take you up on that. One other thing I want to bring up before everyone goes quickly, we've got another person I want to invite on the line here, and this is Mr. Eric Tields. And Eric is a IT legal expert. He was formerly at a very large MSP called Localus, and he's going to be our guest for our next MSP Live Chat. So I want to invite Eric on to come share a little bit about what we're going to be talking about. Hey, Eric, how you doing, sir?
Hey, doing great. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so glad you could be here. So our next live chat is going to be Thursday. So we're back on our regular schedule, folks. No more month vacations for us, even though it's summer. So we're going to be back not next Thursday, but the Thursday after, June 24th, same time, 1 p.m. Eastern. And Eric's going to be joining us to talk primarily about managed services agreements, right? What should be in them? What's going to keep you out of trouble? Because that's what we want to do. And also what's going to help you make some more money.
Absolutely. I've been in-house counsel for technology services companies for 22 years, both on my own accord as a partner in an IT consulting firm for about a dozen years. I was the general counsel, chief risk officer at Logicalis, a $1.5 billion global provider of IT services for about 8 years. And now I am helping MSPs with their legal issues. So appreciate you having me on in a couple of weeks. Really looking forward to it.
Yeah, Eric has seen things that he cannot unsee. He's seen it all, including big mistakes and also good lessons learned. And he's going to be sharing that all in a couple of weeks. So definitely come prepared. Any questions about your MSA? Eric's going to be providing a ton of good information there. Eric, thanks so much for coming on to give a little plug there.
All right, thank you. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, thank you. All right, guys. And with that,
Tom, can I jump in?
Yes. Go for it, Tom.
Yeah, real quick. In addition to my work at Ninja, I also do some consulting. And one of the things I see that I look at in terms of the conversation today is I see Google listings and then information on the website, information on Facebook and LinkedIn. And I see the name in different ways, some with LLC, some without, phone numbers that are different contact information. And when it's like that, people generally, the first thing that goes into their mind is this is not a legit business, or this might be a scam or something like that. Make sure you have consistency across all the platforms and how you're presenting yourself. And I also want to mention real quick, as soon as we get this call, and I am working on a new version of the Ninja RMM MSP cost calculator. And we will be putting out associated content on LinkedIn, a video and a blog post, and we'll make that available for download. It's going to be a nice upgrade. It's got all kinds of security stuff in there, much more granularity on how you cost out your managed service agreements.
Yeah, thank you for that, Tom. Thanks for that mention. Definitely looking forward to that. That's been a big hit with everybody. And we're actually going to have another future live chat to talk all about that. So thanks, everybody, for taking time. Really great to be back in the swing of things and see everybody here. Ayan, again, thank you so much for being here. Dom, awesome work with your first live chat. And everyone in the audience, hope you put some of this to good use, that you start seeing your ranking improve, that you'll get in touch with Ayan, and that you'll join us in a couple of weeks to make sure that your MSA is going to keep you out of trouble. All right. Thanks all. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.